roll off from him. We both got 6s. Well, that bodes well. And then I carried on and you got a 1. I cannot think of anything. And last time I was kind and had an idea and was the defender. So I will be the attacker and do the intro this week. Welcome everyone to All Out AOS Presents Tip of the Spear, our Spearhead-centered podcast. We have nearly done all of the Fire and Jade book. We have a few Spearheads left, and the one we're going to be talking about today, the Hedonites of Slaanesh Blades of the Lurid Dream, is one of them. Before we get into their pleasures, how's your Warhammer pleasure week been?
Won a tournament.
You definitely did.
Video on that. Go check that out if you want more details. But yeah, won a tournament with Sinestra's Zealots. Fun Spearhead. Came third in the league.
Joint third?
Joint third in the draw. Apparently my Deepkin decided right at the very end, after smashing everything the entire time, just go, we're alright now. I don't want to do anything.
That is how armies work. You'll have one unit, or you'll have a game where everything kind of works, and then the next game nothing works. And I'm convinced your army's going, I've done it now, I'm not doing it for you again. So as Robin said, Robin won a tournament. I was there too. I had to play you, unfortunately, for me, because you managed to win that. But overall, I won my other 3 games, so I came second, and that was at Mighty Malay, which are planning on doing their tournaments hopefully monthly. Do check them out, because we had a really good time there. Everyone was really nice, and it's a good event when the organiser brings you around an ice lolly. And as Robin said, we've got a video. I managed to win our league this time, after last time basically doing what you did. I came top of my group, and then I lost my semi-final and final, and I came 4th. This time I managed to win it with my Blades of Corn, which I will probably do, as we seem to traditionally do, is now put them to bed for a while.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed playing them. I do think they are a little frustrating, because they are meant to be a fighty army, but they never seem to do the damage. So I played with them in our tournament as well. So I've had 5 games with them in 2 days. I had multiple attacks, and my cavalry unit ran in and literally did nothing, unfortunately. So they have been a little frustrating at times, but because they're just tanky as anything, then
tanky
sometimes it doesn't matter that you're not doing the damage. But I would like... So I've done Nurgle the first time in the league, and I've done them next. I would like to have an army that has lots of reinforcements, because both of those armies, you are like, I've had a bad start, lost a few units, rough game. I would like to probably in the next league and next tournament do one that has got some things I can throw in and not care about dying.
Wow, that's a good segue. You know what army does have a lot of reinforcements? Now. The Hedonites of Slaanesh. So they've had 3 erratas, all of which have helped them. It's basically just they reinforced the Slangors and then made the battle trait a bit more accessible. And then in April, they were just like, we'll reinforce the Seekers as well.
Which they needed.
To
be fair, it's still not broken this army and made it crazy good that it wins everything. So anytime you make a change and it doesn't become the meta army, then it is probably a good change that the army needed. They still, I would say, have the similar issues that they had before, but at least the battle trait being a very good one, making it easier to achieve things, actually is quite a nice change. Because I think they probably didn't think about it when they did it originally.
No. How on earth you were ever meant to get 36 points?
You just roll a 6 every time when you're doing it, then you'll be fine. But if you're not, because dice don't work that way, you're probably not doing it.
So, going back to what you actually get in the army, you get your general, the Shard Speaker of Slaanesh. You get 2 units of 5 Bliss Barb Archers, one of which comes with a Bliss Brew Homunculus, like a little token. You get 5 Slick Blade Seekers, which is the cavalry unit, and then you get 3 Slangor Fiendbloods.
I think we probably both agree on this. When you look at that, you think, this must be a really good Spearhead, because it literally has everything. You have shooting unit, cavalry unit, fighty infantry unit, a hero that...
Support hero.
A little infantry support hero, which most ones are in Spearhead, to be fair. There's not many really good fighty ones or anything else. They are typically a infantry hero that does something for your army. But for whatever reason, it's from when it first came out, it just never really meshed, which is a shame because its battle trait could be incredible. Its battle trait is Temptation of Slaanesh. You receive 6 temptation dice at the start of the battle round. Each time your opponent makes a failed hit roll, a failed wound roll, or a failed save roll, you can offer them a temptation dice. If they accept your dice, that roll is replaced with a 6. Rolls replaced this way cannot be re-rolled or modified. Each time your opponent accepts an offer of a temptation dice, you gain d6 depravity points. Each time your opponent rejects your offer of a temptation dice, inflict d3 mortal damage onto the unit which the roll was made. You cannot offer your opponent a temptation dice for the same enemy unit more than once per phase. At the end of the battle round, all remaining temptation dice are lost. And so that's kind of how you get your points, or potentially do more damage to your opponent. And the points add up to abilities. So, all friendly units gain passive ability from the table based on the number of depravity points you have. So, if you get all 3 of them, then you get all 3 of the abilities. Each are very good. First one is Tantalizing Torment. This unit can use the run ability and still use charge ability after in the turn. Very good ability.
Yep. Army-wide as well. So.
Yep. Sadistic Spite. This unit's melee weapons have crit mortals, incredible ability, and Oblivious Indulgence. This unit has a 5-up ward. So as Robin said, that is your entire army. Now, originally, you had to get 12 or more depravity points to get the first one, 24 or more to get the second, and 36 or more to get the third. Happily, that first errata changed it so it was still 12 with the first, but it's only 18 to get your crit mortals, and now 24 to get your 5-up ward.
Which still seems quite high. I think it's one of those battle traits that seems very good. You spend the entire time receiving your temptation dice, and you go, "Oh, great! I'm doing my thing. I'm getting," and then you keep rolling like 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
You go, "So I'm not doing mortals. I've rolled a 2. I'm still so far away.
Yeah.
I've rolled a 1. If your opponent can quite easily go, yeah, I don't mind that unit, that climb rat unit, yeah, they'll take D3 models, why not? Okay, and then I'll maybe make that Storm Vernon hit on a 6. All of a sudden I've got exploding 6s.
Yeah.
So again, it's a very weird one where, because then they're not likely to miss on the 2s.
Yes.
Because obviously you can only give it when they fail it. So
Yes.
some armies don't typically fail a lot of saves depending on what they are, so you might not necessarily get to do it on them a lot.
Yes. I mean, I do think this is probably one of the most fun mechanics in all of Spearhead.
Yes.
And it's such a nice one to interact with your opponent for as well, which I really enjoy. And I think it is a very tactical one, because you need to make sure you're really thinking every time you make a shooting or combat thing where you're like, right, where is this going to? Which of their units do they not want to take D3 mortals, so probably will take your dice? And which, you don't want them suddenly being like, oh, you took a 6, I'm Nurgle, that's a disease point for me. And it's a crit mortal because it was on a plague bearer, so now it's kind of a bad thing for me. So you've really got to think about who you're giving it to, and it's got to make them have to sit back and go, oh, I don't want to give you that because you're almost at the crit mortals, for example. And you might roll a good number and get that crit mortals, but in the same breath, they can't afford to take the D3.
Yeah. Obviously, it's much better to pick the hit roll over the wound roll, because you could make them have the 6 on the hit, and then they could still fail the wound roll.
Yes. Unless they have a 6, kind of crit effects. If they want crit effects, then you might not want to give them that, but general, yes. Yeah. And obviously saves, because they might be like, oh, I really need this thing alive, and I've just taken more damage than I wanted, and you say giving them that one bit of save might be the thing that persuades them to take it. So because you are limited to 6, which, if you're having a game where lots of things in combat, I would say you will use up the 6 fairly comfortably, as long as you're in combat with enough of their things. It does mean splitting attacks is probably very important. so that you're able to spread that out. But again, that can be tricky for killing units, which it helps you do a lot of things in Spearhead. So I do think it is a very fun mechanic, but one that if you really want to do well with this army, you probably have to really think about.
Yeah, it's another army which to do well, you need to know your opponent's army very well. And I think you've got to be very tactical with what your archers shoot as well.
Yep.
You can only, it's per phase, so you could split really well with your archers and potentially, again, they're not the most killy thing in the world, so you could split and then end up doing
not do any
nothing
damage
to anyone.
Yeah.
But ideally, you want to maybe spread it out a little bit or focus fire on maybe one better unit.
Yeah.
And hope they take the mortals on that.
Yes. I think kind of your killers for this is reinforced things, because they're unlikely to accept the dice on reinforced units. So if you are against an army that hasn't got any, or has half and half, or a bit of a split, go for the ones that aren't reinforced, because that's going to be your key for them not wanting to take the damage on that.
Moving on to their regiment abilities. They've got unparalleled speed. Pick a friendly unit to use this ability. This unit has strike first this phase. So once per battle, any combat phase.
Strike first, incredible ability. Strike first with an army that you can charge your cavalry unit in, go in with your other fighty infantry units, so they both get to hit before your opponent does. Also very good. Then you've maybe offered your dice round as well if they decided to take the mortals. You could be doing a lot of damage on a turn with that.
Yeah. Obviously, you can use it with the archers as well. Isn't super useful, but it means they get to fight. If they fight first, they might do something.
Yeah.
Same with your general. It's not bad. The fact you just get it.
Yeah.
It's not on a 3-up. It's not if you charge. It's not if you do this. It's not if you do that.
Yeah.
It's a very good little ability there.
Yeah. The other option is the Locus of Division. Once per turn, your movement phase, pick a friendly unit to use this ability. For the rest of the turn, that unit can use the retreat ability and still use the shoot and or charge ability later in the turn. And that is declared in your movement phase, which is very nice. So when we played Matt at the tournament we were talking about earlier, he took this army and I went, oh, okay, I know his cavalry unit could be scary on the charge. I'll go and lock it up with something. And then he was like, oh, I'm locked up. Maybe not. Retreat out. Move somewhere else. Charge in. I'm like, oh, yeah, the plan didn't work at all.
Yeah, he used it very well against me towards the very end and had like a massive score in turn because they move 12, which is like half the distance of the board.
Yep.
And then they can charge, which they get to re-roll.
And they're like big bases and there's 5 of them. So they can cover a lot of the board from where they're moving from and to as well, which is really nice. I think they're both pretty even.
If the army was a much better combat army, I would maybe say the strike first one because you could just run in and wipe everything and yeah, I win. But I don't think this army quite packs the punch to make that an auto pick.
But then they've not got great saves, which means if you're not going first, the thing might just die or enough killed that it's not good. I know, like you say, maybe it wasn't doing enough in the first place, but I do think that they want to be getting the first hit in. I mean, maybe it is a case of I go first, strike first, I go second, retreat and charge. Because if they've got something fast enough to get into me turn 1, I probably want to. They'll probably go for my cavalry and I probably want to retreat them out. Whereas if I know I'm going first, I can definitely get one thing in. I suppose it's a gamble whether you're going to get 2, so the strike first is a bit irrelevant if you're only getting one thing in.
Yeah, if you're only getting 1, then
I
obviously
guess
you're striking first anyway.
But then it is a case of I charged in with my cavalry unit, had a combat, it's now their turn, and they're like, oh, fine, I'll just hit the cavalry now. And you're like, right, well, they're getting strike first then?
Yeah.
Maybe.
But you could say you hold it off and then
do it in their turn, so you're then getting to hit them first. For the enhancements with this army, we've got, in the combat phase, you can roll a dice for each enemy unit in combat with your general. On a 5-up, the unit being rolled for has strike last this phase.
I mean, it's a nice ability,
kind of.
It isn't a 5-up, though. I mean, obviously, I think the thing of it being a 5-up is, in theory, you could give the whole army strike last. But if the whole army is in combat with your general...
Even having strike last, your general's dead.
I mean, to be fair, If two things are in combat with your general, depending on what the two things are, your general is most likely dead. As we said earlier, it's a squishy support general.
I think your only nice thing it is any combat phase.
Yeah.
There's no restriction on your turn, their turn, whatever. If the general's in combat, you're getting to roll a dice. But I do worry about, are you going to get any 5s?
I mean, the other thing with that is squishy support. Even if you go first, are you going to do enough that it mattered?
I mean, I suppose that maybe that is they're going first, and I put my general next to the cavalry unit or next to other stuff.
Yeah, true.
So that when they charge them, they get both, and you try and give them strike last, so you hit them first. Maybe, but
then on the flip side, you go as we said earlier, the cavalry unit's so big you could quite easily tag the cavalry unit and then go into the general.
Yes.
If it was on like a 2-up, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see the point in that one too much because, like I said, so 5-up, so you're probably not going to get it. Even if you do get it, you're probably not going to do anything to them in combat.
Yeah.
I suppose there is play of it in the fact of you charge your general in and you hope that if you don't necessarily pick the strike first one, you hope to then give them strike last.
Yeah.
Just don't bank on it, I suppose.
Or you could have, once per turn at your shooting phase, pick an enemy unit within 9 of your general and roll a dice. On a 4-up, subtract 1 from save rolls for that unit until the start of your next turn.
That's pretty good.
4-ups, obviously not reliable, but in theory you're getting it off half the time. And -1 to saves can be very pivotal.
Yeah. I mean, it's really important probably until you get your crit mortals.
Yes.
And then obviously, it's not then doesn't become unimportant, but I suppose that's maybe a nice one for, again, if you're going against an army that has really good saves.
Yeah.
You want them failing those saves rolls, so you can give them the...
Exactly, yeah.
So, potentially that's not a bad pick.
No. And units within 9, you could still be maybe hidden behind your unit that's in combat and throwing that out to them at least.
Yeah.
With your general staying relatively safe. Or at the very worst, your general's sort of moved up with your army a bit and is trying to give that if he can. We've got your hero phase. Make a casting roll of 2d6. On a 6+, make a cacophony roll of d6. Inflict d3 mortal damage onto each enemy unit. Roll for each within 6 of your general that has had a control characteristic less than the cacophony roll.
That's not bad. Most things in Spearhead only have a control score of 2.
Yeah, well, I'd say most things probably have 1. Pointless against Suns, you literally can't do it.
Yeah.
But most things have got maybe a monster that's 5, but other things that are, like you say, 1 to 2. So yeah, so I think you've got a good chance of getting it off, and casting it on a 6+ with 2 dice is pretty nice. Obviously, you do need to be within 6.
That's the sort of the killer.
Yes.
If your general's within 6 of something, it's probably going to be in combat very soon.
Because especially with it being in the hero phase, it's probably somehow survived a combat to be able to do it. I can't see many instances in your hero phase, unless you are literally hidden behind your units in combat.
Yeah, it's very hard to...
I think that's quite tricky. 9 feels more safe. 6 feels like just a bad pile-in and they've suddenly got your general in combat.
If you're going second, you could set up for that quite well.
Yep.
You can literally... You could potentially have a bubble with the cavalry unit around your general.
Yeah.
So that if they're in combat with that cavalry unit, which is what they're probably going to want to be, they will be within 6 of you.
Yeah.
So there's play for setting up for it, I suppose, going second.
And D3 mortal damage then, and let's say you get it off and they take a bit, and then suddenly in the shooting phase you shoot that unit with your archers and you're like, do you want a temptation dice? Well, that's another D3. They're like, well, I don't want to give you it, so they take it. And then you get the combat and you do damage. You're like, that one unit could be taking 3 lots of D3 damage. That's nasty.
Yeah, that is nasty.
It's not bad D3 either, so pretty good. The final one you can choose is also in your hero phase. Heal D3 your general.
I mean, it's nice, again, there's no sort of roll to it. I mean, you roll 1 and only heal 1. Your general has got 5 health, so...
I look at that one and go, unfortunately, your general's probably dead if you're in a combat.
Yeah.
And D3 healing's not going to help him survive much longer, unfortunately. Because it's your hero phase.
Yeah. If it was every hero phase, maybe.
Maybe if you're against a shooting army and you know that they're going to shoot and do a bit for you, and then you can heal it up relatively safely, then maybe. But if you know they're coming for you, they're coming for you and you're dying if they get to you.
That sort of then makes your general a threat. So they might divert attacks into your general. So your good combat stuff that is a bit squishy has more chance to hit them back.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, I've gone up to the board, now I'm next to your general. Your general can do the D3 mortal damage in the hero phase. I don't want to take that. I've got to do some attacks on your general. Possibly, yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's the best, but I would say it's kind of the best of a bad bunch, unfortunately, for me.
They could have maybe given it a teleport.
Yes, that would have been quite nice.
Yeah.
What about an ability that was like, your opponent can't refuse the dice, like once per turn, or 2 dice if they decline the thing?
I was either going to say 2 dice, or like you say, this round the rolls are doubled or something.
Or maybe just a plus for this battle round. You get a +1 to whatever you roll on it.
On your temptation.
On your temptation. So potentially 6 pluses 1. So the maximum you get extra, you're going to get 6.
Yeah.
But then it also makes your opponent go, oh, maybe I don't accept the dice this battle round and take more damage.
Yeah, potentially.
Because I don't think that would be too crazy good. And if it's just for one battle round of it.
Yeah. But I was like thinking maybe do it on the mortals, where if they don't take it, they take
an extra
D3 plus 1.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So they're guaranteed to take 2 mortals.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that would be really good, to be fair. I think.
And then that would... Maybe they could have, like you say, you could have that on both. You could have 2 enhancements. One that gives it plus on the temptation roll, and one that gives plus on the mortals.
Yeah.
So you can literally tailor make your army to how you want to play it.
Yeah, that would be really nice. Yep, Games Workshop, we do it.
Yep, that would be the next errata.
For your army then, we've talked a lot about the general. Let's go into their stats. The Shard Speaker of Slaanesh moves 6, which pretty much your whole army does apart from your cavalry. Has 5 health, a 5 up save, which pretty much your whole army has, and a 2 control score. So fairly typical for an infantry hero.
Yep, squishy wizard.
No ward, so very squishy wizard. And I would say wizard stats for combat. 3 attacks, 3s to hit, 4s to wound, 1 rend, and D3 damage. So occasionally pops off and does something, but mostly probably doesn't.
Yeah. And if you get those crit mortals.
Yeah, true.
Maybe.
Still has 3 dice, unfortunately. But yeah, you never know. Your ability, Vision of Damnation, make a casting roll of 2d6. On a 6+, roll 6 dice. For each 4 up, you receive 1 depravity point. So that is kind of the way that if your opponent is just going, I'm just going to keep refusing and taking the mortal damage, because either they got an army it doesn't really matter to, or they just
really don't want to give you the
just
extra
don't
stuff.
want to give the extra stuff. That is kind of your only other way to get those depravity points. So you kind of do need to get that spell off. It is on a 6, so you should have a good chance most of the time. When I did play Matt, he was very unlucky in the first 2 turns. He even did the double ones, and I was like, wow, good job we're not playing full AOS. And I think he fluffed it in the fourth one as well. So I think he only got that off once. And I think that hurt him because he wasn't getting that as much as he needed to.
How long is your general actually staying alive for?
It did live all the my game against it, but yeah, I think if something decides, if you get that spell off a few times and they're like, oh, that's bad, it keeps getting those points off, something decides to kill it, it's probably dying. So as you said, maybe a teleport would have been quite nice.
Yeah, but overall I do think this is probably one of the worst generals in Spearhead, unfortunately.
I unfortunately would agree.
Yes. I like when its ability works with the battle trait.
Yes.
That's very nice and very thematic, and I do like things like that. At the end of the day, it's a squishy wizard, and sometimes squishy wizards be squishy wizards.
Shame didn't have a second ability.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot of things don't, but there are definitely some that do.
It'd be nice if they had some kind of control score buff, because that is one of this army's weakness. The fact that they just don't have any control.
Yeah. So I'm thinking ones like Blades of Khorne, the hero, he can do D3 mortal damage with a prayer, and he can do things for your battle trait. It would have been nice for that wizard to have another little ability, even if like you said, it was just unit within 12 D3 plus to control score, or just something to just mean that it's not a nothing wizard, unfortunately.
Moving on to the kind of the main bulk of your army, you've got your Slickblade Seekers. They move 12, they've got 4 health each, a 5-up save, and 1 control score each. So to be fair, that is like 20 health running around. Obviously, it is on a 5-up save.
And no ward initially.
And the likelihood is you're not going to have that full squad alive unless you get very lucky with your temptation rolls. They're not going to have that 5-up ward. I suppose now they're reinforced, you could potentially have built that up for when they come back.
Yes, I think that's how you look at it, is you're unlikely to get them on the first time they're alive. Yeah. But maybe when they come back, you might be close to it, hopefully, and ideally have crit mortals.
Or you might get really unlucky, and that's the one thing keeping that one unit alive right at the very end of the match when you're trying to get the full reinforce back.
True.
Maybe. But they get a lot of attacks, so they get their melee weapons, their Slickblade Glaives. They get 3 attacks each, so 15 attacks. 3s and 4s, 1 rend, 1 damage, and they have +1 damage on the charge. 3s and 4s, so not the best profile in the world, but not bad. And then they also have the like the weirdest attacks in the game. They've got the Exalted Steed's Poisonous Tongue. So they lick you. Which I just find hilarious. And again,
they've got very long tongues. I'm currently building the other ones, and their things have very long tongues. So
they get 3 attacks each. So 3s to hit, 4s to wound. But no rend, and they are 1 damage. It's a flat 1 damage.
And they are companion attacks, so
Yes.
even when you get up your crit mortals, they're not crit mortal attacks, unfortunately,
unfortunately.
which is a shame.
I mean, 30 attacks of crit mortals, potentially 2 damage on the charge. That'd be a very spicy unit. I mean, to be fair, 15 attacks crit mortals on 2 damage on the charge is very good. Obviously, the likelihood is you're not going to have crit mortals the first time you charge that full unit in. They don't have a lot of rend.
No. I mean, they have the standard amount for a unit like it, but they have no way of getting more. I suppose there's your general's ability to -1 from saves or something, so that's maybe the thing that's going to help. But you're right, in general, you could run in with that unit, roll fairly average, and a lot of the attacks just bounce off good saving armies. And there's not a lot you can do about that, unfortunately. I'd like the fact that obviously you can have the ability to be able to retreat. You do take the mortal damage when you do retreat if you choose that regiment ability, but at least they're then getting that 2 damage on the charge every time it's your turn, basically.
Which is the likelihood is you will be getting, because they have 1 ability, and is that they can reroll charges.
Which is a very good ability.
Yeah, it's also a passive, so you can do it with a counter charge as well. You can reroll counter charges.
Which is really nice.
Yeah. Unless, unfortunately, you are Matt, who rolled double 1s into double 1s.
Oh,
in
that's
our
not
game.
fun.
Is that fun? No.
No, because re-rolling, that's one of the things I miss most about playing Spearhead, the full game. The full game, you're almost always like, well, I'm saving 1 command point for a unit that fails a charge. When you fail a charge in Spearhead, unless you have a card or any kind of thing, that's it. You failed it, you go, oh. Whereas with them, you are going, I've got a good chance here, because even if it's you're outside of 3, as long as you don't do what I did in 2 double 1s, your chances of not getting in are so slim by able to re-roll it. Your next unit is your Slangor Fiendbloods. These move 6, have 3 health each, a 5-up save, and only 1 control score, and you get 3 in your unit here. So you only have 9 health there walking around with a 5-up save and no ward. But they are quite killy. So the unit is split. You've got 1 model that has 1 attack and the other 2 have the other one. So the ones that you get 2 of, the Razor Sharp Claws, 4 attacks, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, 1 rend, 2 damage. So you'll basically be getting 8 dice there with a full unit. And then you get 1 of this attack, which is your Razor Sharp Claws and Gilded Weapons. 5 attacks, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, 1 rend, 2 damage. So basically just getting an extra dice with that one. Yeah. Shame it's not something else. Just an extra dice seems a bit
it just seemed very weird to
do. Maybe that's come from the full game and it's how they are armed, I guess. you do have an ability which is quite a weird one. Enemy shooting phase. This unit can use this ability if any damage points were allocated to it this turn. The unit can use the normal move ability as if it was your movement phase. So if you get shot, or it just says this turn, so if a spell did damage to you, you can just, I mean, it's not far, it's only 6, but you can just move that unit 6 inches, which is quite nice because it's in the shooting phase. They've potentially moved a unit with outside of 3 of you ready to charge you. They'll go, I'll do a bit of damage before I go in. And then you go, cool, I'm moving 6 inches back. You've now got a 9-inch charge.
Unfortunately, they are a little swingy because they only get 13 dice, 4s and 3s. But that damage 2 does make up for it. And only 1 rend, so they might struggle against a good saving army, unfortunately. And again, they're quite squishy.
Very squishy. 5 up save, only 9 health. And as soon as you lose a couple of them, at least they get a few dice for attacks, but with the 1 rend, you might not get that 2 damage through. Against things with bad saves, I think they could really rip into a unit and do a lot of damage, but other things, they may struggle, especially when 1, definitely when 2's dead.
Moving on to your Bliss Barb Archers. They move 6, have 1 health each, save on a 6, have 1 control score each. So pretty squishy little archer units, surprisingly.
And with only 5 in each of the units, that is very squishy.
They're Bliss Barb Bows. They have a range of 18, 2 attacks each, again 3s and 4s, 1 rend, 1 damage. I think you've really got to look at them as, they're not there for damage, they're there to build your trait. Yes. That's how I would play them. Don't get me wrong, you can use them for damage. If there's a good hero that's sat there with 1 or 2 health left, you go, well, yeah, I focus fire and I do that. They only get 10 dice through, so on average on 3s and 4s, they're only actually getting like 2 or 3 damage through on 1 rend. So against maybe good saving armies, that might struggle with actually splitting. I think the ideal scenario for this is a bad saving army, and where you try and split with your 2 units and go, well, in this phase, I've done 1 damage to you, 1 damage to you, 1 damage to you, 1 damage to you, and you hope they fail the saves.
Yes, that's kind of your ideal.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the fact that if nothing else, maybe you're running them up the board to score you a card. Because they do have an ability at light-footed killers where this unit can use a shoot ability even if it uses run ability in the same turn. And that's both of your units because that's just a passive. So at least that's nice that you can just be like, oh, I drew enemy side not in combat. I run this unit up.
Yeah.
It shoots and hopefully maybe I'm able to offer a dice. It scores me that card. They go and kill it. Doesn't matter. Comes back. And then it's somewhere else hopefully doing the same. So I think that's how this unit is. Just you throw it out there. And you don't go, this is my really good shooting unit. It's going to do as much as a Skaven cannon or Cruel Boy's bow or anything like that. You just go, a little bit of chip damage, but they're going to score me things.
Run around doing stuff and then hope like you say, get a little bit of chip damage, try and get the dice with them. Because I think the problem is, it's nice the whole army's reinforced, don't get me wrong, but everything kind of has a weird amount of health, where it's very easy to sort of spread your damage efficiently.
Yes.
Because the problem is with this army, because everything's 4s and 3s, not terrible profile. Once they start losing models, they really start to struggle.
You don't have any way of buffing that hits and wounds rolls either. So that is your army. Your army will do a bit, but not probably enough a lot of the time.
Especially if you're then also letting your opponent save those extra little bits as well. Because that is another thing about this army. You do need to know when to give the dice. If you're just offering it out willy-nilly, your opponent can abuse that. Yeah,
can be like, oh, I really need this. I don't know. They've got a card which is like War of Attrition, and they killed your unit over there, and then you accidentally killed their general, and you offered them a dice on the save, and it kept the general alive. And you're like, great, they gave me my points, and I rolled a 1, and they go, oh, I just scored that card because my general's still alive. On to our painting, aesthetics, putting together. You began putting this army together, and I don't think you enjoyed it. I am starting to feel that from building the latest one currently, and I'm not enjoying building that one. So is it anything like that?
Like, the hair was attached to the bow, and, like... Don't get me wrong, I think Slaanesh is a very cool-looking army, and thematically, I think they're very, like, interesting in the way that it all works.
Yeah.
They're not just dudes in armour, which I always really appreciate in these kind of settings. They're demons, they do look really weird. The fact the cavalry licks you to death, very funny. But yeah, the little I built, I was like, oh, it's just so fiddly. So, like... I really didn't enjoy building them.
Yeah. I kind of took over into the last bits. I had the cavalry to do, which were quite tricky. And I think I had a few more of maybe the archers, and they were okay. But I'm glad I didn't have to do all of it by myself. And I do think that if you're going to try and paint this army to look them good, it's going to take you a very long time. You have to have a lot of skill to do it. I definitely don't think that this is a beginner-friendly army for both putting together and for playing on the board. I don't think either of those things are very good for beginners. But I do think they tick a big box of mine that they have a bit of everything, which I really like. And as you said, they are a very cool looking army. Everything has really nice little details, and it's human but kind of morphed, which I really, really like. So if I was to kind of ignore the pain of putting it together, I'd be giving it like a 4. But I do think maybe it gets knocked down a little bit by how hard it will be to paint and to put together. So for me, it's a 3 or a 3.5.
I was going to say a 3. Because again, I really like it. They don't... I suppose the cavalry's the standout model for me.
Yes.
But I don't like when the standout model is like multiple models.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I like the big centerpiece model.
Yeah.
Which this one does not have.
Yes.
But I suppose when you put it on the board, sometimes when you put armies on the board, because again, it's only, I suppose it's 5 units, but it's only sort of... So, but I'm happy to go with the 3. I would want to give it a 1 for how annoying it was to put together. But, and that's just me being a bit grumpy.
Well, I think that is part of it. You know, this is not just... It's just aesthetics. If it was just aesthetics for me, it would be getting like a 4.5.
Yeah.
But when you think of the complexities of the painting and the difficulty to put together. Yeah. But I do think they're probably a good army to be creative and kind of do lots of different colours things for them, which will be quite nice. For playability, competitiveness, fun, if we were to do this when the army originally came out, it probably would have been like a 1 or a 1.5 because the competitiveness was not good and it's hard to enjoy playing a terrible army. Your only fun bit would have been offering people the dice. However, obviously it has had 2 lots of buffs now. So I do think it is definitely more playable. Yes. I wouldn't say top competitive, but I would say one you could take against quite a few armies and put up a good fight. I think you'd struggle against things with very good saves.
Yeah, I think you're going to struggle with things against good saves, and also you're going to struggle against armies that can put out a good, consistent amount of damage. If they are just damaging you enough early on, you're not getting enough dice to force them into then doing it. And if they go, well, I've half killed you, yeah, I'll take D3 mortals. What does it matter to me?
The good thing now I look at this army is the fact that you can throw it all in and just go, you kill it, don't care, I'll just do as much as I can on the way out, hopefully build up my points, so when they're back the second time, hopefully I've got mortals, maybe even I've got my ward. Now I'm harder to kill, and I'm going to do more damage to you. That's kind of your hopeful play now because of all of those changes. So I definitely think it's got good play on the table. It's got the
potential. But I think that's actually harder to do than you might think.
Yes, I agree with that. Especially because you can only bring 1 unit back. If there's some way of bringing 2 of your units back in turn.
You could last-ditch effort a Slangor back.
You could, but...
Would you? Yeah, that's the difference.
Whereas I think if you can somehow get it that you get them both back, maybe double turn or something late on, and you get both back at a reasonable time with a good buff, then you're going to do the damage. But it might just be too little too late by then.
But... on the flip side, I picked this battle trait in the when we made our custom one.
Yeah, for our 100 subscriber special.
Because I just think it's a really fun battle trait.
It is. So anything that interacts with your opponent and like literally they roll their dice and then you go, do you want a 6? And you just sit there offering them dice. I think that is a ton of fun. I find it tricky because when you're playing, especially when you're playing with a time constraint, you literally are this to hit, this to wound, and then they were like, "Oh, I want to offer you this on the hit." You know, I think you probably have to pretty switched on when you're doing it, so that they're not just as they're going to rushing through what they're rolling.
They're like, I hit on 3s. There's my 3s. I wound on 4s.
Then you would like, I wanted to, as you said, you probably want to offer it on the hits rather than the wounds. So I think you have to be very switched on with doing it, and hope your opponent's sort of also maybe getting used to you being offered it.
Yeah. So on that, I was going to probably give them a 3. But I think because of how much I like the battle trait, I'm actually going to give them a 3.5.
So I think the last one probably should have been a 3.5. It got knocked down because of the painting and gluing. This one probably should be a 3, but we're bumping it up just because it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun,
I think any time that you've got a fun mechanic that you're doing all the time, basically,
yes,
I think is brilliant, and I do really enjoy that. And I do think the army has the potential for you to do well with.
I think, obviously, unfortunately, it's a game of dice. You've got very important dice rolls in the fact of, obviously, you look at it and go, well, I could get 36 temptation points in a round,
you
technically.
Yeah.
If I roll all 6s, I could also get 6 if I roll all 1s, and that'd be completely... I think that's the problem with the battle trait. There's no way to make it consistent.
No.
You're either going to have a brilliant game where you roll high with it, or you're going to have a game where your opponent keeps giving you the dice and you're like, great, you're not taking mortals, but I keep rolling 1s and 2s. And it's like, you'll get your run and charge ability, but if I've not got my mortals and I've not got my wards, I'm not killy enough and I'm not defensive enough.
Yeah. And as good as crit mortals are, it's amazing sometimes how many times you don't roll 6s on dice.
Yes, there is also
that is always well. And 5 wards, amazing 5 orders, it's amazing how many times you don't make it.
Yeah.
Now, for the first time ever, we have got some audio to play from someone who is very experienced with this army, and he's going to give a little rundown now of how he plays the army in the board, kind of his tactics and everything. So he's going to play that now.
Hello everybody, my name is Miko and I'm a Spearhead player from Germany. I'm playing a lot with my local group and about 10 people, and also love to go on tournaments near my city. I really love the competitive play, so I always try to find the right way to play an army. After I won a local league and made second place on a tournament with the Fire Slayers, yes, it's possible, I looked for a new spearhead and somehow I stuck with Slaanesh. The battle trait is awesome, the unit seems to be perfectly suited for what the army wants to achieve, and after playing Fire Slayers, which are perfectly fine being the defender, I wanted to play in a real attacker army. I watched people playing this spearhead and always felt like they are missing opportunities because Blades of the Lurid Dream are not an army you can play normally. I contacted my favorite podcasters, Duncan and Robin, with a request to contribute some of my knowledge, and here we are. So let's dive into some of my helpful tips for the army. So let's start with probably the most important and also controversial point, the wording. Pick a unit to use this ability. This wording means, as long as the ability is not on a war scroll, that every eligible unit can use it, which brings us to the regiment abilities of the Spearhead. Board up, pick a unit to use. After a long search on the internet, Reddit, and debating with people, the conclusion is as follows. Every unit can use the ability once per battle. Reinforcements, being a new unit, gets it again. If it was intended by Games Workshop or not is a very good question, but until Games Workshop makes a statement, this is the right way to play it. This makes unparalleled speed a very good ability, perhaps even the best of all in Spearhead. And it's true, almost any other Spearhead with it would be completely broken. But Blades are different. 2 units of archers and the general don't even want to be in combat. The other 2 are 5 up safe and no ward at all. This army needs strike first to be effective, and you need to use your once per battle wisely, because if you waste it, you get hit, and outside of the Seekers, nothing can really take a punch. It's basically, I always strike first, but if I don't, I die. Unparalleled speed is the ability that makes the Spearhead competitive. Next point is about splitting the attacks. All attacks in Age of Sigmar can be split: combat or shooting, normal or companion. And to split the attacks is crucial for Blades of the Lurid Dream. The archers have 10 attacks each. I normally split 5 and 5 on 2 targets and repeat with a second unit. This way I can offer up to 4 temptation dice in the shooting phase alone. Don't use the archers to kill, use them to force your enemy to give you the depravity points or swallow mortals. Finally, temptation dice. Your main goal with the temptation dice is to generate depravity points, so your later reinforcements get stronger. Use them on units your enemy doesn't want to lose. Clan Reds will probably reject, Red Augurs probably not. I normally try to use temptation dice on my enemy's failed saves. This way I give him the opportunity to reduce damage on him instead of offering more damage on me. But if you have some left, use them on enemies' failed hits, especially on attacks with high wound rolls. So now the question about attacker or defender. And it seems pretty obvious. Slaanesh wants to go first. Use all your shooting, give -1 to saves, charge with the Seekers and block with the Slangors. As a defender, on the other hand, you must stay behind. I normally put the Slangors on the line as a bait, Seekers on my long battlefield edge because they want to charge, and the archers with the general behind the Slangors outside of possible combat. And then just hope for the best. Okay, so I hope I could bring some new informations to the table for some people. Slaanesh can really work if you know what to do and play it so little. You also have the advantage of your enemies having no clue what happens. Thank you very much to Duncan and Robin, and please keep doing a great job on your channel. The world needs more Spearhead. See ya.
Thank you very much for that. So that's a good bit of extra insight that because to be honest, this is an army that we have not really played against or with very often.
I've played it a few times, but yeah.
So it's really good to get that information. So thank you very much for that. If there are, and this was actually requested as well, so if there are any spearheads that you would like or topics you would like us to cover on the podcast, if you're listening on YouTube, you can put a note in the comments. If you are listening on podcast sites, you can email us at alloutageofsigmar@gmail.com. We have had our first ever review on Apple Podcasts, so thank you very much for putting in the review.
1 star?
We are currently on 5 stars.
5 stars.
But thank you very much, and if you are enjoying it on podcasts, not on YouTube, then do put that on. And if you are watching on YouTube, you can listen to next week's episode a week early by heading over to those podcast sites, because that's a week ahead. It is time for your outro, Robin.
So, basically, I don't know if it's going to come across in the podcast. It's far too hot at the minute in the UK. So, I genuinely forgot I've got to do an outro. So, I'm not going to come up with anything fun or, it's just too hot for that at the minute. Small little tidbit about me. I don't dream.
You don't dream?
I don't dream.
So
I've never had a dream.
You've had no lurid dreams?
I've had no lurid dreams. I've never once remembered a single dream in my entire life.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
I think you need to be researched.
I mean, it probably is a thing. I probably do have dreams. I just don't remember them. They're probably really boring.
Most
I probably
dreams
dream about
really
rolling well.
Most dreams aren't really